Tetris skills can be used in myriad ways. That's an adjective. Like packing a car before a road trip.
Like surgery?
Well, now I'm going to need you to break that one down for me.
Sure. So when you're dropping things in to the body, like the new organ.
Yeah, right.
And it's kind of that weird kidney shape.
Like the L, kind of L. I mean,
L
it's not
shape, yeah.
The bean shape.
You know how the heart's kind of its own shape too?
Yeah, it's like the 2x2.
Right. The intestines is more like a
bunch of lines.
Squiggly one, yeah.
The problem is, I have a lot of friends in med school, because...
That's the problem.
They started to do surgery, surgery practice on like dummies and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're using, like organs and stuff. Like you said, they're dropping it in, but sometimes the problem is they drop in the kidney so good the body disappears. But they do get a lot of points.
That little scoreboard goes up, the patient is gone.
It helps their grades. They've had to replace 700,000 dummies this year because they keep they're so good at surgery, the bodies keep disappearing.
If only that happened in real life.
Yeah, you'd be gone when you got heart surgery for the first time.
No, it'd be the second time.
Not the first, because they did it wrong the first time.
They did it wrong the first time.
5,000 points.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Speculation Station. I'm Joseph, here with my good buddy Eric.
It's me, Eric.
And we are we do a little show here, a little podcast, if you will, called Speculation Station, where on this show, how many times can we say Speculation Station? We take a video game, a series or a single title, and we try and turn it into a movie.
Yeah.
And not just any movie.
A mediocre movie.
A movie that would at least get 55% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's the golden number. So far, I think we've succeeded.
Yeah, on our previous ones, we think we did pretty well. We may have some gripes with them. You may have some gripes with them, but we're going to keep chugging along.
That's the 45% talking. That's the glass 45% empty. I prefer to look at my glass 55% full.
But what is it full of? Rotten Tomatoes.
But today we might have met our match.
Uh-oh.
Or not. Or this is our chance to just really stretch out creatively. Every game we've done so far has had a story, or at least a concept and characters and stuff like that.
Right. Some established something.
Something. So today we're talking about Tetris, the falling block game.
Yeah.
Listen, there have been nigh unto over 100 Tetris games, I'd say.
Yeah.
Since the original release in the 80s. So A, we don't know about them all. B, you don't know about them all, listener. So C, let's forget about any of your little spin-offs. We're not playing Dungeon and Dragon Tetris. We're not playing, Choose Your Own Adventure Tetris. We're going off the rails, so to speak. Don't freak out, passengers. We're not really going off the rails.
No, we're staying. It's okay. It's okay.
We're
don't get scared. Don't get scared.
We're stopped. We've pulled into the state. We can't leave. I'll let you start.
Start with what?
I don't know. The movie.
the movie. So when we're dealing with Tetris, we got the real question here. Once again, we're at a puzzle game. Not in the same sense that Portal was a puzzle game.
I would hesitate to call Tetris a puzzle game,
at
least in the same realm of Portal. Portal, you have one solution. Tetris, though, has no solution. It is an onslaught, and the only way you could fend it off is by being good at the game enough until you eventually succumb to the falling blocks.
That's pretty much the premise they've gone with now.
It's more just like, can you organize these boxes good for long enough?
Well, then that brings in the question. Do we create our own universe, right? And we have Tetris exist in its own realm where Tetraminos exist with emotions and feelings. We do an emoji movie. Or we have Tetris merely be a side note to a greater world.
I'll take an idea that doesn't have to be explained by saying, like the emoji movie. No, I don't think our characters should be tetrominoes.
Okay.
Obviously, we have to. The big question is what is the world, and how do we incorporate Tetris into that? And what does Tetris represent in this world? Those are the big three questions.
I think Tetris should be kind of a side note. Not obviously, it's going to be the Tetris movie. No, but hear me out.
Yeah, okay.
The concept of Tetris as we know it is the side note. The puzzle game in which boxes are stacked and then disappear. I think that should be the side note of the film.
Why don't we just do a documentary about Tetris and call it a day?
Here's a concept.
Yeah.
What if we do a film about Russian struggles? It's not a documentary, right? But
No.
it's like it's one of those historical films, right?
Neither of us know that much about Russian struggles.
Well, let's get some premises set then. I got an idea with this.
All right. Okay.
When did Tetris came out in like the 80s, right?
Yeah, the height of or probably the decline rather of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Or the beginning of the end.
What if we have a Russian, right? In that time period, right?
The 80s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Not
say
a lot of movies about those.
he smuggles and has a Game Boy. And
Okay.
he's living a real hard life. Let's say like he's got it worse off than most people do even. But he's got the Game Boy. And Tetris is kind of his escape. And it's all he's got. In the sense that, you talk about if somebody's got something, they're going to milk it up for all it's worth, He goes to Tetris for every little stress thing. It is his addiction.
Well, that's a very different concept from my idea.
What was your idea?
Sci-fi alien invasion movie.
Hold on a minute.
I don't know how, but somehow the Tetrominoes would be like aliens and they'd like slam into Earth or something.
Well, their ships could be like the...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's really all I had. But that was what I was thinking. Yeah, I know it's not very good.
I mean, we can do it if you want.
Let's do yours. Russian struggles.
All right.
Should we do some sort of disclaimer?
We apologize to any Russians listening to this show.
Yeah, this is gonna get very inaccurate, probably real fast.
We don't intend to belittle any of the actual struggles y'all face or y'all have faced.
We're ignorant. Apparently, we're gonna be talking about 1980s Russia for a while, so buckle in for inaccuracy. Also, technically, if he has a Game Boy, that would be in the 90s. Okay. Have you ever seen the movie Hugo?
Is that the one with the clocks? Or the wind-up kid or something?
No, that's Pinocchio.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
Basically, a French kid has a love of film, and he has a relationship with a guy who used to be like the first French filmmaker.
Oh, yeah!
I think we should kind of take that idea, but put Tetris instead of film. So you have the kid or young adult who's really into Tetris, and they're full. This is like set right as the Soviet Union has collapsed.
Gotcha.
Where things are not great.
Not for the people, not for the Union, not for nobody.
Not really for anybody. Except America, baby. I think you should go on a quest to find the founder of Tetris. But we make it sound better than that. And give him a reason to.
Okay.
That's my jumping off point.
All right, well, we don't want to copy Hugo exactly. That's for sure.
Wait, we put Tetris in there instead.
That's it. He's in a clock tower. He meets Tetris Man.
He's in a big skyscraper. He says, "Oh, looks like a tetromino."
I think we do it like this. I think he's working he's kind of in a bad spot.
He probably wouldn't have a job.
Maybe he has a job, but it's a job given to him, not one he chose. Maybe he's born into a family position, It's like, it's not what he wants to do with his life, but it's what he's doing because it's what gives him money. At least a little bit, I think, so we're talking about the 90s, right?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Like 1991.
What time did Tetris release on Game Boy? 1989. So it would have already existed on Game Boy in the time that we're talking. I think.
Right.
I picture it kind of like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I want our main character to be a kid. I want our character to be a kid in hardships that's doing a job he doesn't like, but it's because it's what he has to do.
I'll go with that.
And he's not old enough to really decide, I'm going to go out and steal stuff.
How child is he?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory age?
Like 12, 13?
I think we can make him as old as 14, but he's not,
Yeah, he's a child who is experiencing the fall of his country. So he's not upbeat.
I think
How depressing are we going to make this movie?
I think we can give it some lighthearted tones, but I think it should be a deeper movie. I think it should be a more emotional
It should be very
film.
depressing.
A very depressing film, but that does have a positive ending and lighter tones to it.
So talk me through what you were thinking.
This kid works at a place he doesn't really like. He's working for his family. Maybe his father is...
All right, I like that. Okay, I like him working for his dad.
Yeah. I don't think his father should be bad either. I don't think it should be like, oh, his father's forced him. I think his father's like sick. So the kid's got a good heart, and the kid wants to help his father, because if he doesn't, let's say there's still some kind of backlash if demand isn't met. Things are bad, so to the point where if whatever's being produced in this little family thing...
Yeah, it can be like a belt shop or something, like real useless.
Right. If they don't sell enough, then of course they don't get to eat. In that same vein, the work is getting shoddy because the father is becoming ill.
Sick.
He's old, or something.
Or maybe in addition, they're also not receiving the materials anymore, or as much. Or they cost way more because there was insane inflation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My goodness. And they get the short end of the stick here.
The shortest end, yeah.
So it falls upon the son to kind of, because he cares about his father and cares about his whole family, to kind of take up, and he starts doing this. But it's not what he wants to do, and he gets stressed by it, and there's a lot of junk. I think...
hang on. I don't think he should be that responsible. I think his arc, or one of his arcs, should be learning to take care of himself.
Okay.
And so, like maybe it's just him and his dad, and he's like his dad's assistant.
Okay.
And then something happens to his dad, and then he's like, well, crap. Or the shop, or the dad and the shop. It's like, well, crap, I have no idea how to do this. I'm going to go on an adventure.
So what if, I want to incorporate the Game Boy, because I think that's a point.
I like the Game Boy.
That's an instrument that we can put in that is simple, but could also be seen as both useless and valuable at the same time. For example, it has no value other than entertainment.
Right.
It's not supposed to be there either. It's not supposed to be in Russia where it is.
I guess?
Yeah. I mean, there was an embargo on things that being shipped and shipped out and stuff.
I think he should find the Game Boy, though. I don't think he should start with the Game Boy.
I agree. I think he should find it, but I think it should become a kind of a problem where it's maybe his father sees it and makes a comment. He's not trying to get him to give it up, but he's commenting. He says, oh, if you could find somebody to buy that, we could get all these resources. And maybe that's one of the points where the kid's, kind of like, but I'm enjoying it. I finally have something for myself, and you're telling me I have to give it up.
Maybe he plays it kind of guiltily.
Yeah, I think at first he plays it kind of guiltily. Maybe he has points where he's really enjoying it, or maybe he starts kind of not like lying to himself, but he starts promising himself, okay, once I beat the game, once I get done with it, or something, I'll sell it.
We don't have to go this route, but America and Europe both did send soldiers in to aid Russia after the collapse.
What if he gets a Game Boy from one of the soldiers?
Yeah.
I would like that. I think because that would make sense. It wouldn't be, because if he's going to be good-hearted, if he were to just find it, I think he would probably not just take it.
I think either he should steal it or...
No, I don't think the kid should steal it.
So let me finish, but let me use this or to turn the boat around. Or like one of them leaves it or drops it or something. A little coincidental, but I don't like the idea of it. It feels too... Because we want to keep this very Russian-centric, I think. And while other soldiers were happening, I don't think we should really incorporate them other than extremely
then what
passively.
If one of the we get a small scene with two soldiers, and one of them says, you can't have that, dude. If the commander catches you with that, that's contraband. And he's like, man, I've just been... And he kind of gets upset. He's like, I've just been playing this. What am I supposed to do? Just ditch it, And he's like, well, yeah, you just drop it. Just drop it. Because if the commander sees you, you can't,
I don't like that either.
Why do you not like that?
I don't know. I feel like it should be seen as trash to everyone except the boy.
Okay. But then that takes away the guilt factor.
Maybe it could be guilt from his father, like you said.
But then his father would not be seeing it as trash.
Because the father, it's like you said, the father's like, you got to focus. We don't have time to
Oh, okay. So it's not
play with little toys. We got to focus on feeding ourselves.
Gotcha. So it's not with the selling factor. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Then in that case, maybe it is junk. What if the kid had a position? If we go with the junk factor, maybe he dumpster dives because
that's what I was thinking. He's at a junkyard or something. Because I'm sure Game Boys were in Russia. At least minimally.
Maybe. And like I said, we don't have to explain how it got there either.
Yeah.
we could say it's in there and it's kind of busted and he kind of fixes it himself.
Right.
You know, he kind of gets it to a working state himself.
Or, yeah, it's missing a battery or something.
Something simple, and he figures it out.
Yeah, we see he's kind of techie. So he fixes it up, but he like salvages it.
Yeah, because Russia was like, not in the Dark Ages. You know, it's like there's going to be things.
There was modern stuff.
They made computers. You know,
it wasn't very good, and also people stole all of it. People were also there was anarchy everywhere.
This is mine. I don't think the kids should just be finding technology everywhere, though. I think that'd be a little. Because even though that would be considered trash by everybody else in a society that's more focused on the practical stuff now, you know?
All right, to combine our ideas kind of with yours of the soldiers, what if we make the soldiers almost faceless?
Okay.
And let's say they have a little... again, neither of us know exactly how that worked back then, when Americans or Europeans were in Russia. It might have just been for aid. But let's say there's a little like encampment set up, and then the boy is scavenging a junkyard nearby, and then like some raiders, like a gang of Russian guys, like starts raiding the camp, and like he and the soldiers start fighting, and then in the aftermath, the boy finds the Game Boy.
Okay, that's fair. I don't even think we have to do that, but I'm fine with that. Because then we can still imply that this is something that's foreign and something that isn't exactly. This isn't just something he would have or the ability to buy himself, you know?
Yeah, and also it sets up that the world is very dangerous.
I like that too.
Which, you know,
because then we can imply also later that not that there's this single raiding group, but that maybe there's a lot of tension going on, and that can be what ends up damaging the shop later.
And we imply like these aren't, I guess, bad guys. They're just desperate.
Yeah, they're desperate people who are doing things because times are extremely tough.
Yeah, and like when we see them raid, we see them like they're raiding the food or the supplies. Like they're not going for guns or the soldiers.
Right.
But then they start fighting, and you know how that goes.
Right. I think if we do that route,
yeah,
would we want to make the raiders faceless as well?
I think so. I like that.
So we've got this we just kind of got two sides, and it just kind of shows tension. It's not that we're painting anybody in a particular light.
Or not even two sides. Like the raiders can fight each other.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's just
the military is trying to go in and break it up, yeah,
or something. It's just chaos.
I like that a lot.
And then in the chaos, I guess the soldiers pack up and move camp in a hurry or something. And one of them leaves his pack or whatever.
Oh, here's a weird thing.
Yeah.
What if some stuff is left? You know, they're in a rush, a pack is left or something, and one of the raiders goes and starts trying to shuffle through it, and he doesn't know what the Game Boy is, so he just kind of throws it behind him because it's not of any use, and that's when the boy sees it and picks it up, because that would automatically imply that it doesn't have value to anybody else.
Or maybe he whatever he's scavenging, like they're belt makers, so like he's got a strap of leather or something he like throws, and then he throws a Game Boy next to it, and so the boy's going for the leather. But then he sees the Game Boy and he's entranced.
I like that.
And he grabs it.
I like that.
And then the raider turns around, but the boy's already ran. Okay, that's fun. That probably shouldn't be the opening scene, though.
No, not at all. I think opening scene. All right, so let's build this up to where we are now.
Yeah.
I think opening scene should be, we see boy in hard time Russia.
We imply, or we say directly that Soviet Union has collapsed like a month ago.
We could do the simple, because I had televisions in, but they were very rare. We could have a thing, where it's like
radios or what?
Yeah, radio in the background is saying something. Do we want this to be a subtitled film?
I mean,
for authenticity's sake.
Sure.
Okay, like if they're speaking in Russian.
I don't think that would affect our story too much. But
No. But I'm just saying for the feel of this, because if we're going that route, it does usually imply a much more deeper feeling.
Man, kids are not gonna like this movie.
I don't know if this would be a kid's movie, because you got to think about how old Tetris is too.
This is an R-rated movie.
No,
for Russia.
I like your idea earlier where you talk about him trying to find the guy who made Tetris, right?
Yeah.
Here's what
problem. There is a problem.
Yeah.
Number one, we don't know anything about this cat. Number two, it does look like he went to America in 91. So unless we want him to go to America.
Yeah.
The problem I would have with him going to America is that I don't want this to be like a cross-country or cross-world tour. You know, I kind of want to keep it really small.
I think we should still have this sense of not Russian nationalism, but something about Tetris does make him feel
I don't actually
proud.
hate the idea. Maybe not Russian nationalism, but Soviet nationalism.
Ooh.
Well, it's like a sense of regret. I don't know. I'm thinking of an idea or a scene where maybe he makes his way to Moscow or somewhere nearby, and like he's in a space museum and he's like inspired by the astronauts or something, or cosmonauts rather, or whatever.
After that period of revolt and thing, they got set back because so much was destroyed of their advancements. So I like that. I like where you're going with this, where it's not
like the nostalgia almost.
It's not a feeling of nationalism in the sense of, wow, we were so great, but wow, look at all the potential that we had.
Or maybe like, wow, what happened?
What did we lose? Yeah.
The question is, how do we tie that into a film?
About Tetris?
Or, arguably it's not about Tetris, but yeah.
I still think Tetris needs to be the focus of what the kid uses.
Well, that's the question. Since we're not going to have him find the founder of Tetris, what is his, I guess, quest?
That does change things a bit.
What if Tetris is more of kind of a catalyst for the boy's inspiration? And like, maybe he discovers... Maybe he hates belt making, or maybe he's bad with his hands or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's really good with his hands, but he's bad like strength-wise.
I still like the idea of the Game Boy's in not a very good condition. He has to do something to kind of fix it, to get it to work. So it's got this scene, this kind of emotional scene. You know, it turns on, and Tetris starts, and he's having to learn, you know, how to operate it. But because
you could kind of make it a tense scene where like maybe he's hiding. He's trying to make his way back to the shop, and like raiders are nearby, so he's hiding.
Yeah,
and then he's like fiddling with the Game Boy, and he accidentally turns it on and says, "Ring." He's like, whoa!
Yeah.
He fiddles with the volume button.
I don't think that should be the thing. I think he should like cover it up because he's not going to know that much about it yet. You know, he tries to cover it up, and the music's muffled, and you know we cut and we see the Raiders are looking, and then they pass through, and then once they're gone, you know, then he kind of lifts it up and he starts playing with it, starts figuring out how to play it,
and he's entranced by it. Maybe he plays it for a while, and then when he gets back to the shop, the dad's like, "Where were you? You've been gone. I was so worried."
I like that. Yeah.
Sorry, Dad, I was playing Tetris.
Well, no, and then maybe once again that other guilt of like if he were to try, you know, he shows it, and the father doesn't understand it.
Oh yeah, it could be innocent. He's like, "Well, I found this, and I don't think he'd say playing, but like experimenting with it."
Yeah.
And maybe the dad's like, he's nice, but he's tough. He's like, "No, we must focus on selling belts to get food."
Because maybe at that point the kid also didn't bring back enough resources that he planned to either. You know?
Okay.
So,
the dad's already kind of mad.
Yeah. And not like angry and I'm gonna beat you, but like
like Kratos angry. Where he's like, come on,
boy.
I'm disappointed. Okay, I don't hate starting the movie out with it's like they're at the shop. We establish Soviet Union has fallen.
Yeah.
We establish that they're belt makers. We establish that they have no customers or little customers.
They have little customers,
little money,
related
little food.
To the fact that they have little resources. It's the vicious cycle.
Yeah. And we could even show that the dad, maybe not sick, but at this point, but he's very depressed.
Yeah.
And like they don't talk as they eat a meager dinner. And you know, we set up what their life is like, and there's no happiness.
Yeah. I think very
dour.
Very unsaturated colors, very
oh yeah. Looks like Gears of War.
Yeah. I think we focus more on the cold of it. Not once again, not that all of Russia is freezing cold, but you know, we could set it up in a more stereotypical.
Yeah, I was thinking this would be more like South Russia, but I mean that's fine.
Well,
it don't matter.
Yeah, either way.
Or you could. I mean, we don't even have to set it in Russia. We can.
I think we should
set it one of the other.
The reason why I want to set it in Russia, and not just any of the other Soviet places they occupied.
Territories,
yeah.
I guess
the reason why I want to set it in at least Russia because if it's in a place that was occupied, then there's not going to be that sense of pride or nationalism when he sees those towers, when he sees the Russian imagery in the product.
Okay, I don't. In that case, then I don't think they should be too far from Moscow.
Yeah, maybe there's a couple of scenes
like maybe the next
where he actually sees the palace, where he actually sees.
But it's like in that desaturated color, so it's not impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he's like in Poldosk. He's south of Moscow. Or north. What? He's not. He's like, I don't know, 25 miles out.
I said not too far, but not too close.
Far enough where it seems like a fantasy almost. Because it's like, of course I can't go to Moscow. It's so dangerous. Even if he had a car, which you don't.
Yeah, which you don't.
Okay, well, we still have to... What is the point of the movie?
I think something bad should happen to Papa Beltmaker.
Papa Belt.
Papa Belt.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Should something bad happen to the shop? Because
you know what? Actually, let me. I'm not against something bad happening to the dad. Now I'm kind of against the dad dying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think whatever it is, it should be a quest between the father and the son. Like, they go together. But the son, maybe the father is sick, and he's getting sicker throughout the movie, so the son has to learn to take responsibility.
This is a weird thing I'm going to say. You're going to dislike this a lot. With Tetris, what is the point of Tetris as a game?
Clear the blocks, don't lose.
Yeah, but what did you say earlier specifically?
It's an onslaught.
Until...
you lose.
Ooh,
okay. I like that. You were wrong, I do like it.
What if we have that imagery in different points in the movie where he is playing the game, and he just it just feels like it keeps coming and coming and coming, and he keeps getting game overs, and everything. And his father gets sick, and we start seeing this in the real world where not that his father is going to die at any point necessarily. It's the fact that things just keep getting harder. Now he's having to take up positions that he didn't want to. He's having to work through struggles that he didn't want to.
I mean, could it literally be as simple as go to Moscow and get medical assistance?
I think we would need to research at least one aspect. And this is not I'm not saying no to this. I'm just letting you know. We would need to research if Moscow really was any better than any of the other cities around it. Because it looks a lot better. It's got this fantastical aspect about it because it was the capital. But really, after the fall of it, is it better?
Yeah.
And so is it going to be this sense of a failed journey, where maybe they think it's better or something and they go there and it's not? Or is it going to be this sense of they already know that it's not better, but seeing it through the image on the Game Boy, he feels like, this is where I am. This is where, I don't know. Maybe that sounds a little too weird.
Let me contradict myself earlier.
Go ahead.
So what if, instead of going to Moscow, because you make a good point, what if they are following the soldiers? Because the boy sees a camp and he sees they have medical supplies, and then they get hit by the raiders. They head off some direction. So the boy knows that they headed this way. He knows they have medical supplies. So he's like, "Father, if we can just find some soldiers."
Okay. Do you think the father's going to accept to move out, or do you think the father's going to be stubborn and say, I need to stay?
I think the shop should get destroyed, so they don't really have a choice. I mean, they do have a choice, but there's nothing really holding them back.
Okay. Then that's fair. That's perfectly fine then.
Yeah.
Because if the shop gets destroyed, then they can just the father's like, oh, whatever.
But we still don't want to set up the soldiers as being like, gods.
Not
so
at all.
To speak,
I think, once again, they are faceless, but they have what they need.
Right.
And he knows they have what they need because maybe, for example, some stuff that did get left behind was medical stuff, but it already got raided by the stronger people. The boy couldn't get to it. The boy couldn't do anything with it. Not that he necessarily had a need for it, but it was already shown that that's something they have.
And maybe when the father is sick, the boy says, "We can get you some medicine." Maybe he brings up the raiders, and the dad says, "No, they're too dangerous. We don't know what they're capable of." And the boy says, "Well, what about soldiers from another country?"
I like the dad saying that about the raiders, because what if he says that about the raiders before the shop gets destroyed, right? And then something happens.
Well, but they wouldn't need medical supplies at that point.
Yeah, they would. I think the father should be getting sick gradually throughout the film.
From the beginning?
Not like,
okay,
not
but
right
the
off
shop
the
getting
bat, but, it's just kind of like this, as the son is playing the game, not that these are two connected instances, but, as this stress goes, we start seeing that the father is not doing that well. And it culminates to this point where maybe he kind of collapses in the shop one day, and the son catches him.
I like that.
And
But
that's when he
in
says,
the shop-
what's wrong? What's wrong? And he starts talking about, well, we don't have medicine. We can't do anything. Just put me back up on the shelf. I'll work. And the boy's like, no, we can get you medicine. Let's go talk to the Raiders. And the father says, no, they're too unreasonable. We can't talk with them, And the boy doesn't know what to do at that point. Maybe the boy feels lost too. I think maybe once...
Or maybe instead of saying the Raiders or whatever name we get, we could say, why don't we go ask for help? And then the dad says, no, we don't know what people are capable of anymore, or they're capable of anything now. So the boy doesn't know that the soldiers have medicine at this point. I guess this is pre-Tetris.
Yeah, we could do that then, because then if we establish that the father is ill but still pushing through, he's not, he's not on his deathbed.
Yeah.
But he is sick enough that it affects the work.
He's got a little bit of coronavirus. Just a little bit.
In turn, since it affects the work, it affects their ability to make money. Maybe we even have a scene where there's some, gruff working class, factory workers.
Yeah.
And they're like, belts are shoddy, belts don't work. My belt fell off. But I'm not saying it'd be a funny scene.
My pants fell down.
Right, or he's griping about something, and the father's trying to deal with it, and the father's, apologizing.
Yeah, he's trying to defuse it, but he's very weak.
I'll fix this. I'll make sure. And the guy's, griping and saying,
I think we should just have the Raiders or whoever, obviously Raiders probably isn't the most appropriate term.
The desperate Russians.
I think it should just be just a force of chaos. Like there's barely any rhyme or reason. Like maybe the dad can set it up before him. He says, "Oh well, the shoe shop got hit last night. We're gonna have to start boarding up the windows."
So it's like already established that it's already in the midst of chaos.
Yeah, and it kind of increases that feeling of an onslaught where it's like, "Oh, these blocks are coming, baby boy."
It could also.
Oh, it was called the Eastern Bloc. I get it.
Well, it would also create this sense of why are they not getting business?
Yeah.
If it's a dangerous place, and then and then the son could say, well, why don't we just move? Why don't we just go why don't we go to Moscow? And then that's when they imply, no, nowhere's better. We can't go anywhere else.
Everywhere is like this.
Everywhere, at least that's the assumption, and that's what the father says, and the boy has nothing to do, but okay, daddy.
I like that.
So, we set up, father is sick in the beginning.
Yes.
We set up that Russia is in a post-Soviet state.
Not a good place.
Not a good place to be. We set up that there is chaos, that it affects the shop.
Yeah.
The father is kind of on his last leg, but not so much that he's going to die.
He still got him.
He really needs some help.
He's very tired.
The son is doing his best, but the son is not good at the craft.
Well, before we move on, let's skip to the end. Let's move on to the end. Before I move on, let's move on.
Fast forward.
So since we're kind of making this story representative of Tetris, should anything good happen in the end, or should they just lose?
If we go with the lose route, then we've got a real emotional movie, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But we need to decide, do we want this movie to just be an emotional commentary?
I like the idea of it being a very dour character study drama of a boy trying to save his papa, and it goes badly. It's realistic.
If the boy fails, what happens?
I mean, I think the father dies.
That would be like the end.
I think that's a given. I don't know if the boy should necessarily die.
No, I don't think the boy should die.
I don't know. It's hard.
You gotta have somebody to mourn the loss.
Well, I don't think it should die at the same time if they both die.
I don't think both of them should die. Here's why. I think the dad should die because of some kind of failure.
Or maybe, hang on. I was reading this article. Let's see. Where's the crime section? Okay. Some Law and Order had temporarily ceased to mean anything with the collapse of the country. Complete anarchy and chaos had taken over. Some Russian businessmen remember to this day the risks of doing business in the 90s. You were either killed, kidnapped, or tortured, or had to worry about the safety of your family and loved ones. What if they just get separated? What if the boy gets kidnapped?
But then would he get to keep his little game?
Or maybe the dad gets kidnapped. I don't know.
Okay.
It feels a little too cliche to have the dad die, on second thought.
Maybe he doesn't die, but maybe there is no help.
What if they get to the soldier camp and they see, they see this camps off in the distance, they say fires and stuff, like smoke. So it's like, they got campfires. And then they crest over the hill and they just see a mass of people who also need help.
I like that. I do, because then that's reality. That's,
I don't know if that's the ending.
No. I don't know if that should be the ending, but I think that should be the pivotal point. That should be the pre-climax.
All right. Well, how does it end though?
Do we want to end on a happy note, or do we want to end on a bad note?
I think we can end on a.
Is this a tragedy or a comedy?
I think we can end on a bittersweet note. Those are usually more fun.
Those are better because you don't go home being like, that movie sucked.
What if the dad does get help? But like, it's implied very heavily that like this isn't over. Like, just because you're safe now doesn't mean you're safe forever.
I like that. I actually like that.
And
that would be good if it ends on something where the thing's getting help. And not once again, we don't have to put a particular individual. We can either just have another Russian or something who's helping at that point. And he maybe makes this statement.
What if that scene happens, like the dad gets patched up, and like maybe this takes place over like the next couple of days, like it's implied.
What if the dad isn't happy that he's getting better because he doesn't have a shop anymore?
Well, that was going to kind of lead in to like he gets better, and then they're just kind of sent off. Like they just walk away from the camp, and maybe the boy's like, "What now, Papa?" And he's like, "I don't know, my son." And then it just ends on that. Like they're okay physically, but like nothing else is.
Oh, okay.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, I like that. So
yeah,
let's round this up then.
Well, we're still missing a pretty big section.
What section?
The middle.
The middle is the journey.
Yeah, but we got to talk about it.
Okay, do you think it should just, like we're talking about, we keep using the term onslaught, should it just be this collection of bad things happening, or should it be more or less one hardship that is a continual hardship?
I think both.
Okay.
Like the father is getting sicker. That's your continual onslaught. We see him getting sicker. He's coughing. But like there's also the day-to-day. They have to figure out how to get food.
Yeah.
They have to figure out where the soldiers were going. You know, you can have a scene where like they find a safe house, quote unquote, but something goes terribly wrong. It's just like a skinnier teeth survival movie almost.
Okay. You have the thrill of there is so much going wrong that when you find people that are willing to help you, they really can't help you that much.
Yeah.
They can just kind of give you a piece of bread and point you in the right direction.
Or probably maybe not even that. Maybe they just give you a place to sleep for the night.
Let's not worry about the specifics, but let's make some generic things that could happen along the way. You said for one, they encounter people, or they encounter a place that could be like a safe house. Somebody says, you can sleep here for the night, you know?
Yeah, and maybe nothing does go wrong there. But it's like, you see the more human side of this, and maybe they are, quote unquote, raiders. But like,
well, they're just like everybody else.
Yeah, they're just desperate. And maybe they got a little bread. Or a can of something, and they share it, and the dad's like, "Where'd you get this?" And he said, "Oh, well, we raided the people down the street or something."
We could show the collapse of things too. We could say maybe that the area that they find, it's some kind of old industrial building.
I like that, or apartment complex or something. Yeah,
it's been kind of turned into multiple people are crammed in there, you know, and it's just multiple people are just sleeping on the floor, and it's all it is shelter. It's just shelter.
Yeah, and maybe like something goes wrong, and if it's a lot of people, like they start fighting,
or
like
maybe
it starts as a dispute, and then it like explodes, and the boy and the dad
and they have to leave, yeah,
or not even leave, like because they're like, well, it's better in here where we can see them than out there where we can't, and like maybe they just crawl in the corner, and the dad like tries to protect the son by like staying up all night.
That's good. I like that. The other option I was thinking though,
I'm very depressed.
The other option I was possibly thinking is it's a dispute over something simple. Like, for example, there's like
food or whatever. Yeah,
right. And they start fighting each other, and it turns into a fight. And you just see this you just see this desperation on their face. They don't even try to protect each other. You're just like, this is what it's come to, you know?
Yeah, and like they're not even.
Or maybe the father is so sick he's sleeping through this, and the son is so concerned he looks and he sees. His
I like that, yeah.
And he knows he can't wake his father because his father needs rest, and he's like, this is just what the world has come to.
Yeah, like they're fighting. They're not fighting really each other. They're fighting for the food. So like someone grabs it and he like shoves it in his mouth, and then someone like grabs it out of his mouth or something. You know, like very
I like that
animalistic.
Because that would show real desperation.
Yeah. Okay, let's think of some other situations. These two, or first, let's talk about the relationship between the son and the father, because obviously you want that to kind of evolve.
You talk about one of the arcs is the boy learning to take care of himself. What if that went two ways?
He
What if
takes
that
care of
went
his father.
taking care of his father? So maybe the boy is a little more selfish at the beginning. Maybe he voices, maybe not in a bratty sense. He's still, he's still a good kid, but he's very much like, I don't get to have any enjoyment. I don't get to have any fun. When he finds the Game Boy, that becomes his escape. And he starts to develop some guilt.
Well, yeah, because that's the initial point of contention between the father and the son, where he's like, you must focus on scavenging.
I think they should meet in the middle, because I think there should be a point later where it's a really tough point, and the father notices how it's affecting the son. He says, pull out the thing,
pull out your Game Boy.
Yeah,
boy.
And the boy is cautious. Says, no, we got to focus on this. And the father says,
maybe
no,
you can make it a little more subtle, where like maybe the Game Boy's batteries die, and then like they go through a hardship, and then like they're on the other side. You're on that breath of relief, and then the father says, "I found this boy, and he's got 2 batteries."
I like that. Because then it does show that meet in the middle. It shows the arc, because the father is now, not that the father was ever really against it, but the father was so focused.
Yeah, and maybe the boy only tries to play it like when he thinks the dad's asleep, but we can kind of show the dad's got his eyes open and he's watching. And this is before the battery scene where it's like that acceptance.
And the father understands how it helps the boy, and helps him feel better.
I love these names. The boy and the father. Okay, I think we should also... Yeah, as the father gets sicker, the boy starts taking care of him a little more.
Starts getting more selfless in that regard.
Yeah, maybe.
But of course, I think, not to say that we go from one extreme to another, but I think before the battery scene, we get to a point where the boy becomes so focused on this that you see it starts wearing him down. Like, it really starts affecting him. But he's pushing through.
Focused on Tetris?
And no. Focused on his father. He's focused on his father, and the stress of having to do all that is just, since he has no relief, since he's not turning to Tetris, he's not turning to an escape.
Because the batteries are dead?
Maybe. Maybe not. I think maybe there could be a choice there, and then maybe there's a point where it feels like it's so much. It feels like the stress is getting so much, so he pulls it out, and he turns it on, and it doesn't turn on. And that's when we realize the batteries are dead.
That can be kind of your end of Arc 2 low point. Where it's like, all hope is lost.
So then he's like, I got to focus on this. I got to push through.
Okay.
I think then we should see the father start to realize, not in like a sense of like he's looking in a mirror, but he sees, is this really what all work and no play, does to someone? All this stress without any form of optimism, all this negativity, all this responsibility.
I like that. Yeah.
And so the father does, the father starts meeting in the middle, like we talk about. There's the battery scene.
But like, it's subtle.
Very, very
Yeah, it's
subtle.
not going to be, can I play? I got next?
That'd be funny.
They use the Game Boy Connect cable to play 2-player.
Find second Game Boy.
Sponsored by Nintendo. Okay, yeah, I do like that. Well, does the father, other than that arc, does he have another arc? Like, or is it just kind of he gets sicker, but more accepting of his weird son?
I think his final arc, the bittersweetness should be the father tries to look at something on a positive note now.
I like that.
So at the end of it, he points it out, it's like the son maybe points out and says, well, you're better. And then he thinks and he says, we don't have the shop, we don't have anything. And maybe the father's the one who says, we'll see what happens.
I like what you said earlier where they meet in the middle. So
okay.
Maybe it's like you said, they're leaving, and maybe the boy's the one who's like, well, the shop's taken, we don't have any food. Like, he's kind of taking stock in his head. We see him trying to be responsible. And
because
now
that's what he's come to at this whole point.
And now the father's the one who, like, maybe he, like, it takes him around the shoulder and, like, holds him close. He's like, we'll do it. We'll figure it out together, my son. That's
fine. Yeah.
And then they get shot by a sniper.
That was a good movie.
Let's keep thinking about middle scenarios.
We could have one where they have a direct encounter with a specific group of individuals of ill repute. Say not necessarily just desperate people, but people that are actively pushing for chaos. Maybe revolutionaries, Like, the revolutionaries are not going to attack them, but it's just a loud, chaotic scene, and things are getting destroyed, and people are shouting things, and they're having to just kind of put their heads down and go through it. And maybe they get called out, and they say, what do you say against all this that's been going, and there's no response. They can't have a response. What if they're
almost like hedonistic, Like they've given up on anything. Like almost hippies, I guess, but not. Like maybe they're drug addicts.
Okay.
But if we combine that with your revolutionary idea, they do become hippies. Maybe that could be a different scene. Yeah, like maybe they're working on like tearing down a statue of Gorbachev or burning a Soviet flag or whatever. Like something very representative of the fall.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey man, you want in on this? And they just keep walking. And maybe they turn from like friendly to kind of insulting them. They're like, you communist sympathizer.
Yeah, and it would be more in the sense of not that violence breaks out, but in the sense of it's just they're having to muscle through it. They're just kind of having to shut up and push through.
Should we even touch communist philosophy? Like, should the father like kind of miss communism? He's like, well, I miss having food.
We could,
safety.
But I think we would need to make it from a standpoint. Not once again. I don't think we should praise either side.
Yeah, we have to be very neutral.
We would need to find out, and obviously there's nostalgia. People have nostalgia for terrible things.
Yeah, maybe it can be a rose-tinted glasses kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe they find like a newspaper pamphlet or something of a report on a cosmonaut, and like maybe that maybe the father's like very feverish, but that gets him talking, and so like he's like remembering this great Soviet Union. He's remembering all of the good without remembering any of the bad.
That would be interesting. That would once again bring in that slight sense of nationalism, but not in a negative way, just in how somebody who has at one point been successful feels about themselves, feels about their country.
Things right now are so bad that it will make anything look good.
Oh, yeah.
Even communism, which we all know is a sin.
I like that. I like that a lot. Because then once again, that I'm not trying to keep this as an imagery, but since they do have the palace in Moscow as an imagery in Tetris itself.
Yeah.
I like having that because then when there's discussions of this, the boy gets this kind of fantastical view of some things. But once again, I think the father also understands that maybe there is something better in the future, but he can't see it right now. And that
I like
could
that.
Maybe that only comes into play later. That only comes into play
as he gets sicker.
Yeah. Where he starts meeting in the middle with his son and he's thinking, there is going to be something better because there has to be for my son.
Let's talk about the soldiers a little bit.
Okay.
Only in the regard of, like, the boys saw which direction they go, but how do they find the soldiers? Should they maybe talk to people?
Yes. I think they should follow, they should go, I don't think we're talking about completely rural Russia here. I think we're talking about...
No, like
metropolitan,
small
to
city.
Rural, to back to metropolitan, kind of...
Yeah.
And so what we'd have a point where during the thing, when they find like that safe house or that industrial thing, they talk about it. And you could make it a really touchy subject where maybe one person brings it up and they say, do you see which way the soldiers went? And they say, you're going to go after them too. And we see that there's some people who maybe don't like the soldiers here.
Yeah.
And they want to get rid of them or something. And so then the father...
Well, like the Raiders at the beginning.
Right. And the father kind of has to play into that. And he says, well... Yes, which way did they go?
Yeah, I hate those guys. Where are they?
Right. Obviously, you get what I'm saying. Though.
Yeah, no. Should the dad or the son ever become violent?
I really don't want that. I want the world to be violent and them to just be observers.
Okay, I like that.
Because that really does push forward to the onslaught. Because what can you do in Tetris other than move the blocks? In the new games, you can do all this crap. But in the original game,
you can clear the lines.
You can turn the blocks... You can put the blocks in such a way that they go away, or you can let them stack up and end your game.
We're getting really symbolic with this, huh?
I think that's the only way we could go.
It's cool. Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to ever say that. We're not going to ever put that out on the paper.
Yeah.
I think we put it more into how it's demonstrated. They are very, very passive. They nudge through stuff. They push through. They have to deal with each situation. When we come to the responsibility of the son has all this responsibility, and he's trying to fit it in such a way that it doesn't take him over.
Maybe the father is kind of a fast talker. Like if they get into a tense situation, like he can kind of work his way out of it. Like he can kind of turn it on its head and clear the situation, so to speak.
I like that because that would give them an ability to push through certain things that might seem unsolvable or
without getting violent.
Right, and there could even be a point where maybe he tries to do that, but he's so sick he slows down and he stops, and people see that, and then we see that human aspect of these revolutionaries and these raiders and just these desperate people, and they go and they say, what's wrong with him?
I don't think it should do that, but maybe like they kind of leave him alone.
I like that. Yeah, they aren't going to push anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, was there anything else we need to take care of? Should we recap it? You want to recap it for me?
Let's recap it. So, in the beginning, sad boy hours. We got a little boy who is working in a belt shop, doesn't like it, doesn't really feel the need to do it.
I hate this belt shop.
Kind of feels hopeless. Father's getting sick, so son kind of begrudgingly does have to take up a lot more work than he would like.
Yeah. And it could probably be lighter stuff like scavenging for materials or like very simple sewing.
Yeah. It's not that he's got a huge workload, because once again, this is not when the responsibility hits him, but he feels like he needs an escape because, of course, he doesn't understand the real hardship right now. Then he's out there and he's getting, he finds Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Finds Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Instead of taking scrap, he takes Game Boy. He plays Game Boy. Have tense scene with Game Boy go ba-ding. He takes it back home. Father lectures him or scolds him, I think, in a simple way. I don't think the father should ever be too stern or strong to anybody, just because he's so weak.
Yeah. Maybe why he's getting it. Like, he's starting to get angry, but then he starts coughing.
And then he calms down or whatever. Yeah. He takes it. He tells him. He says, "Where were you?" And the kid says, "Well, playing this." And
he's like, "I found this."
It's like, why would you? What use is that? Did you get any leather? Did you get any metal? Did you get anything? But I think the kid later that night, I think it is not to be weird. I think father and son should share a room because it's just that's the kind of tight.
Like it's just in the back of the shop.
They're in the back of the shop, and the boy is tweaking with it again. He starts playing with it some more, but he, once again, it's that guilty feeling of, well, my father said not to do that, but
his father's snoring and he like puts it under his blanket.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind this is the original Game Boy, which should not have backlit screen. So he's got to have a candle or something.
Gotta have a candle. Well, we can work with that. We could say at that point we could show him finding volume control. So he turns off the volume.
Yeah.
Until he's just playing it by candlelight. And we could make that once again. It's a very difficult thing, but it's all he's got. So he's really, he's enjoying it for what it is.
I think we should show him getting better at it through the course of the movie.
Oh, definitely.
But
definitely.
like we're implied, the more further you get the game, the more stuff comes. It's faster and hard, difficult.
So then I think father gets real sick, or say he still gets continually sick. I think. Yeah. What do you think exactly should happen to the shop? Should it get burned down? Should it be they're asleep one night and fire and they got to get out because it's on fire?
I just think raiders do it, and it's clear there's nothing left. And since neither boy nor father fight, they kind of escape out the back.
I like that. What if the raiders bust in, and they're looking for stuff, and there's just nothing in the shop?
Well, because they had a little bit of money in the shop, and so they take all of that.
Yeah,
and they take some of the material they could use for other things, and then it's that was everything.
I like that too. I didn't think about this. What if one of the safe houses or places they go to, the person's, we don't have room. We can't take you in. And this is actually a residential house, like a farmhouse or something. And the father says, something like, well, I can fix something. I can make this. And they use some of their resources to do that.
I like that. Yeah, he buys his way in.
It shows the sense of not everything is about money. Sometimes it's just trading skills.
Well, with how inflation is, arguably nothing was about money because it was so useless.
It was so useless. But they still have the money. I think the money should be used. And I think by the time they get to that, they've got nothing. By the time they get to where the soldiers are, where they get to where the medical aid is.
Right, they've used everything that they got.
But now they've got help. And that's kind of the bittersweet aspect of it.
And that's why they we'll figure it out.
Okay, raiders bust in. They sneak out. They go doo 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 doo. They sneak out. They start on this adventure.
Or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't sneak out. Maybe the father does try to fight back, and he's so weak that they just push him off. Since he's so weak, they don't kill him because he's not a threat.
Oh, I like that. Then maybe they don't have any money. Maybe the money gets taken, but they just have resources. They just have the small things that they were. Maybe
they have not. The father, they don't really have anything of use left. I think the building should get somewhat destroyed too, just by the force of chaos.
Yeah,
from the raiders.
Door gets busted in, everything else, and it's kind of. If we're setting it in South Russia, then we don't have to worry too much because okay, we'll just try and board it up again or something. But if we're talking about cold Russia, it's okay, now we've got a problem,
Or we're whatever it to the point where it's not necessarily irreparable, but there's no point anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe the father is just too weak to even try.
And that's when the son actually initializes we have to go get help.
Yeah.
Because, of course, if the father's too weak to fight back, then maybe the son is kind of selfish up until that point. Doesn't really realize how bad his father is getting. He knows his father's getting bad.
Not in an unkind way, but maybe he's just like, get some sleep, father.
Walk it off.
Yeah, to kind of that feeling. Yeah. But not in a malicious way.
No, not at all.
Come on, you old man. Get up. Get up, old man.
So it's kicking him.
You
kidder. You kidder, you. Come on, get up.
Stop goofing. Oh, you got some fake blood there?
Yeah. Old man really doesn't get injured. Just kind of gets pushed over.
Yeah.
Basically, he gets everything.
He goes, ho!
Ho! It's like Gandalf in the window.
Yep.
They go out. They leave. I think they should at least encounter 3 instances. I think one should be...
Or whatever, yeah.
One should be with a kind of a safe house. They get in. They're allowed to sleep in the safe house. We see the dispute happen with all these other people, and they're just they just have to push through it.
Yeah, like they see the revolutionaries as they're walking by.
Yep.
And then, the father has to talk his way out of a hostile situation. And then, you do have that scene where, he reminisces about Russia. Maybe stuff's going real bad.
I think there could be a point where maybe they just, find a... I don't want to be, so strict, but maybe there's, an abandoned something, and they get into it, and they're just staying in there because it's the only place they can be. And they start talking about that. I think that could be between. I think that should be between events. That should be between.
That's their downtime.
Yeah,
where you have the break of the act.
They finally get to the other city, wherever it is, or the other point B,
wherever the soldiers have set up.
I think downtime right before they get to the city. I think one of the big downtimes should be there. It should be the battery scene.
Yeah. After something really bad happens, maybe after the riot scene.
Yeah.
Quick note: the soldiers. Instead of them having a camp at the beginning, because that doesn't make sense. Maybe they could be on their way to the camp, so they're in vehicles, but the vehicles get
they're a convoy, and one of the wagons, gets raided, right?
Raided or whatever. Yeah,
I like that.
Just for a little bit more realism.
Because then you could also have maybe. Man, I don't want the father to have disdain for the soldiers, but I think maybe he could make a comment and be like, every place is a war zone. Every place is just, there's no need for all this. And he's griping about that. And it just shows that nobody's happy about anything.
Okay, I like this. So then they get to the thing. They get healed. And maybe they see, this is where it's the sobering scene where it's where the father and son weren't the only ones who barely made it. You got people missing arms and eyes and loved ones, stuff like that.
I think the bittersweet should end on a slightly sweeter note than just entirely hopeless. I think, of course, we got the scene where he's got his arm around his son.
You got hope in your heart.
We got hope. I think we should kind of see. We should end on seeing the people help each other. Do you think that's too hokey? I think it helps, because if not, it's just going to kind of be like, well, dang, what's going to happen next?
Well, yeah. I don't know. What do you mean by helping each other? In what regard?
We don't just end on the father and son. We end and we cut back and we see, the medical people helping all this, the people who are really ill. And we've got people taking resources and handing them off. We're not showing it necessarily as the soldiers being these really, really positive things. We're just showing that people are taking what they have. And instead of, we see with the Raiders where they're fighting over stuff, people are passing something on, You got
I guess I don't hate that.
There's some boxes of rations, and the guy takes out one and passes the box down.
As long as it's done right. Yeah, as long as it's done right.
It's not going to be like, okay, everybody's singing, everybody's happy. No, people are still really sad. But instead of seeing them just fighting over stuff, we see them getting the stuff handed to them and passing it on and, being civil,
Okay, yeah. And then you fade to black and...
No, we do Tetris type B music for the ending.
We do the orchestral music. Well, that's Tetris, baby. Not what I thought we were gonna do when we set out.
I like it though.
I like it. I think it's definitely. I don't. Real talk. We've done a lot of action adventures, so it's nice we did a thriller last time, and now we're doing this
emotional,
very dark drama. It's cool. I like that we're stretching our creativity, and plus, gritty dramas always do well with critics. They don't even have to be good.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah, so we're good. We're set for the 55. Was there anything else to talk about here with Tetris? Or you think we're wrapping it up?
I think we're pretty good. I think we would once again. I think with the title.
The title is a good question because I don't think we should call it Tetris.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, that's a tough one.
The Russian block.
The falling blocks. Blocks that fall.
I
don't know. I think we could have Tetris in the title.
The Tetris.
I don't know.
Tetris.
We could just call it Tetris. I don't know.
It's not great, but we'll get the marketing team on that. We'll ask the marketing team about that. That's not our job. We just come up with a script.
Yeah. We just come up with the outline. We got the idea.
We'll get the marketers. Yeah.
Hey, producers. Look, come
we
take
have a very sad, very depressing Russian story. What you got?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's based on Tetris? Kind of. Tetris is involved.
Highly involved. Tetris is that stepmom. It's like she's not really your mom. She's not the biggest part of your life, but she's still there.
She's there.
And she is technically a big part because she is the wife of your father.
Right. So the father marries the Game Boy, is what you're saying.
That's the end of the movie.
I got you. All right, well, stupid. Thanks so much for listening to our show, Speculation Station. I hope you liked it.
We liked it.
We liked it. Well, yeah, don't speak for me. I did like it, though. If you, this was definitely a unorthodox episode.
Which is funny, considering we're talking about Orthodox Russia.
Hey, if you know someone who might be interested in listening to this, or, movie buffs, or game buffs, I guess. This one's kind of game-related. Less so than our other ones. Share the show. Our show's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on YouTube. And I'll just get the word out. Tell them about this cool show you found.
If you want to find out all of our other stuff, you can check out our website. That's www.speculativereelism, that's realism with 2 E's.com.
Yeah, and on the website is also a link to our Patreon, where you can help support the show and help us keep doing this and the other shows we're doing.
And if you've got another idea for a show or a title that we can turn into one of these episodes, send us games. Send us game ideas. Leave them in the comments. Send us an email. Say, hey, I really like what you do. Do this one. And we'll look at it and we'll go, okay.
Could they send us concepts?
You can also send us concepts.
Hey, I had this cool idea for a Zelda movie or what Uncharted movie.
And if you think we could have done something better, then
send us.
Definitely leave it down below and say, hey.
Like I said, I thought we were going to I was coming in with the expectation to do a sci-fi alien movie. This is not quite that. So, there's definitely our answer to Tetris and any of these other games is not the end-all be-all answer. There's a ton of other stuff you could do with it.
Right. So make sure to let us know what you think.
Yeah. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at SpecReel. That's real with 2 E's, just like the website, just like a film reel. At SpecReel, you can find updates about the shows. We're doing snippets of the shows, previews of the next shows, all that good stuff that you want social media wise. What? I don't know. Let's head off. We're pulling out of the speculation station. Let's get out of here.
All right. We'll see you on the next stop.
Choo choo. Bye.